Have you ever found yourself longing to be unforgettable in a man's mind, craving a way to make him think about you even when you're not around? Imagine for a moment, what if you could create such a profound impact on him that he couldn't help but miss you, even if he wasn't particularly interested at first? Does this sound like a distant fantasy? Trust me, it's not. It's a reality that countless women have unlocked by mastering subtle yet incredibly powerful psychological techniques rooted in the timeless philosophy of Stoicism and modern relationship dynamics. Here's the problem. Most advice out there tells you to play hard to get or make him jealous, but it's all surface-level manipulation. It's exhausting, right? Deep down, you know it doesn't work in the long run because it lacks authenticity. Men aren't stupid. They can sense when they're being played. And what happens then? They move on. The cycle repeats, leaving you frustrated and wondering what went wrong. But what if I told you there's a way to approach this that's not only authentic, but transformative for you and for him? This isn't about games, it's about evolution. Enter dark Stoic psychology, an approach that uses emotional self-mastery and controlled detachment to create irresistible intrigue. These principles don't just capture his attention, they captivate his heart, pulling him back to you without you lifting a finger. Today, I'm sharing 8 proven steps that will make any man miss you so deeply he'll wonder how he ever lived without you. This isn't about shallow tactics, it's about showing up as a high-value woman who commands attention and respect effortlessly. Each of these steps taps into primal human psychology, using principles of scarcity, curiosity, and attraction to shift the dynamic in your favor. Ready to begin? Let's dive into the first move, one so powerful that it might feel counterintuitive at first, but is guaranteed to make him notice your absence in a way he never expected. 1. Show him you're living your life. Picture this, a man scrolling through his phone, expecting to see you waiting on him, texting him first, or making your world revolve around him. But instead, he finds nothing. No texts, no calls, just silence. And then he stumbles upon something unexpected. A photo of you laughing with friends, out exploring the world, glowing with confidence. It's in that moment he starts to realize you're thriving without him. There's a magnetic allure to a woman who doesn't put her life on hold for anyone. The moment you stop chasing him and start living fully, you shift the narrative. Men are naturally drawn to women who have their own lives, who radiate a sense of purpose and fulfillment. This isn't just about being busy, it's about creating a life so vibrant and meaningful that it speaks for itself. So what does it mean to live your life? It means diving into your passions, pursuing your goals, and nurturing your relationships with others. It's about reminding yourself and him that you are the main character in your own story. Maybe it's taking up that hobby you've been putting off, booking a weekend trip, or simply spending quality time with people who uplift you. When he sees you fully engaged in your own world, it sparks something primal, curiosity and respect. Let's break this down psychologically. Men are wired to value what they perceive as scarce or unattainable. If you're always readily available, constantly seeking his attention, you become predictable. Predictability breeds comfort, but not desire. When you make your time and attention scarce, not as a game, but because you're genuinely focused on your own happiness, it triggers a shift in how he sees you. He starts to wonder, what's keeping you so busy? Why are you glowing like that? Who's making you laugh when he's not around? Dark Stoic psychology teaches us that independence is one of the most attractive traits a person can have. When you embody this independence, you're not only showing him that you don't need him to complete you, you're showing him what he's missing by not being a part of your extraordinary life. The beauty of Stoicism lies in this emotional discipline, in prioritizing your own journey over external validation. And don't worry about overdoing it. Living your life doesn't mean flaunting it. Subtlety is your secret weapon here. You don't need to post every moment on social media or boast about your accomplishments. Let your actions speak louder than your words. A candid photo with friends, a quick mention of a new project you're passionate about, or even just the glow of happiness he notices when he sees you. These small cues are enough to plant the seed of curiosity. Now here's the twist. When you stop prioritizing him, he starts to prioritize you. The fear of being replaced, of missing out, begins to creep into his mind. Men, much like women, want to feel needed, but what they crave even more is to feel like they've earned a place in your life. By showing him that your world doesn't stop for him, you make yourself infinitely more desirable. Let's imagine him lying awake at night, replaying the moments he's seen you thriving. He'll start to question himself. Why am I not part of that world? Has she moved on? Is she happier without me? This mental loop is what makes him miss you deeply, intensely, and irresistibly. It's not manipulation. It's the natural consequence of you prioritizing your growth and happiness. But here's the thing, you have to commit to this mindset fully. It's not about faking it for a few days and then falling back into old habits. Dark Stoic psychology is about transformation, about becoming the kind of woman who doesn't just capture a man's attention, but keeps it effortlessly. Once you embrace this principle, you won't just make him miss you. You'll inspire him to rise to meet your level. What do you think so far? Ready for me to unveil the next step that will make him crave your presence like never before? 2. Don't contact him. Silence. It's uncomfortable, isn't it? We've been taught to believe that maintaining constant communication is the key to keeping someone's interest. But let me ask you this. How often do we truly value what's always in front of us? How much more do we crave something when it's just out of reach? Here's the hard truth. Men don't miss what they can always have. If you're constantly texting him, calling him, or checking in, you're making it easy for him to take your presence for granted. But when you stop contacting him, something powerful happens. You create a void, a space where your absence is felt more deeply than your presence ever was. And that space is where curiosity and eventually longing begin to grow. Let's take a closer look at why this works. Human psychology thrives on scarcity. We chase what we fear we might lose, and we think about the things that aren't easily within reach. When you stop reaching out, you give him time to notice that you're no longer there. Maybe at first he'll think, "Oh, she must be busy." But as hours turn into days, his mind will start to race. Why isn't she texting me? Did I do something wrong? Is she losing interest? That mental spiral is exactly what you want. And here's the beauty of it. Even if he wasn't particularly interested in you before, your sudden silence forces him to reevaluate. In his mind, the dynamic has shifted. You're no longer chasing him. Instead, you're the one pulling away. And that reversal of roles creates a magnetic pull. Now you might be thinking, isn't this just playing games? But let me reassure you, it's not about manipulation, it's about self-respect. Dark Stoic psychology emphasizes emotional discipline, choosing not to act out of impulsive neediness, but out of intentional confidence. By not contacting him, you're telling him, I value myself and my time. I don't need you to validate me. But here's the catch. This only works if you stay consistent. Don't break the silence prematurely with a just checking in text or a social media like. Resist the urge to explain yourself. Remember, mystery is your ally. The less you give him, the more he'll crave it. Picture this scenario. He checks his phone one morning expecting the usual good morning text from you, but nothing. At first he shrugs it off. Maybe you're busy. But as the day goes on, that silence starts to feel louder. By the end of the day, he's staring at his screen, debating whether he should be the one to reach out. In that moment, he's thinking about you more than he has in weeks. The longer you maintain this distance, the more profound the effect. He'll begin to associate your absence with a sense of loss. And here's the twist. The more he wonders why you've gone silent, the more emotionally invested he becomes. Even if he didn't care before, this new dynamic challenges his ego. Men are naturally competitive, and when they feel like they're losing someone's attention, it lights a fire within them. But let me be clear, this isn't about ghosting him forever. At some point, he'll reach out, curious or even desperate to reconnect. And when he does, the power dynamic will have shifted. Now, you're in control. you decide how and when to respond, and that puts you in a position of strength. So, are you ready to try this? Are you willing to embrace the silence and let it do the work for you? If you've ever felt the urge to text him just to see how he's doing, pause and ask yourself, is this about him or is it about me seeking reassurance? Remember, confidence is silent, desperation is loud. When you choose silence, you're not only showing him your strength, you're reclaiming your own. What do you think about this idea of using silence to create space and curiosity? Have you ever tried it before? If so, what was the result? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and share your story. If this idea resonates with you, make sure to hit the like button to let me know I'm on the right track. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next part of this series. There's so much more to uncover about Stoicism and dark Stoic psychology, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next step in mastering the art of making him miss you. 3. Be mysterious and vague. Imagine this. He finally reaches out after days of silence. His text pops up, asking the inevitable question, "What have you been up to?" Now this is your moment, the pivotal opportunity to keep him intrigued. How do you respond? Do you pour out every detail of your recent activities, hoping to keep the conversation flowing? Or do you lean into the power of mystery, offering just enough to pique his curiosity without satisfying it completely? Here's the secret. Less is always more. Men are drawn to mystery, like moths to a flame. When you give away too much, whether it's information about your day, your emotions, or your plans, you extinguish that flame. But when you're vague, when you leave certain things unsaid, his mind begins to work overtime. He starts imagining, wondering, and creating scenarios to fill in the blanks you've intentionally left behind. This isn't about being cold or aloof. It's about being intentionally selective with the information you share. Let's say he asks what you've been doing. Instead of rattling off a list of errands or outings, you keep it simple. Oh, just keeping busy. Or if you want to add a playful touch. Nothing too exciting, just a little bit of this and that. These responses are perfect because they say everything and nothing at the same time. They allow you to remain an enigma, a puzzle he feels compelled to solve. Why does this work? It taps into a psychological principle that has fascinated humans for centuries. Curiosity drives desire. Men are wired to seek out challenges and conquer mysteries. When you're an open book, he has nothing left to uncover. But when you're just out of reach, when he feels like there's more to you than what you're revealing, you become infinitely more compelling. This is where dark Stoic psychology shines. One of the central tenets of Stoicism is the power of restraint, choosing what to share, when to share it, and how. By practicing this level of control, you demonstrate not only emotional discipline, but also confidence. You show him that you're not desperate to impress him, that your life is full and exciting whether or not he's involved. This kind of self-assuredness is intoxicating. Think about it. When was the last time you felt deeply intrigued by someone? Chances are, it wasn't the person who laid all their cards on the table right away. It was the one who left you wondering, the one whose silence or simplicity made you curious. That's the effect you want to create, a sense of magnetic mystery that keeps him coming back for more. Being vague doesn't mean being evasive or rude. It's about creating an air of intrigue while still engaging in the conversation. For example, if he asks about your weekend, you might say, "I had a really interesting Saturday, but I'll have to tell you about it sometime." Or if he presses for details, you can redirect the conversation. "Enough about me. What's been going on with you?" By shifting the focus back to him, you keep the interaction balanced while maintaining your allure. Here's another powerful aspect of being vague. It gives him the space to idealize you. When you don't fill in every detail, his mind starts to create a version of you that's even more fascinating than reality. This isn't manipulation. It's human nature. We all tend to romanticize the unknown. To see what's hidden is more valuable than what's obvious. By holding back, you allow him to invest emotionally, to create a narrative about you that deepens his interest. It's also worth noting that being vague isn't just about words, it's about actions too. For instance, if he sees you out with friends or enjoying life on social media, you don't need to explain every detail. A simple photo of a coffee cup with the caption, "Perfect start to the day," can say volumes without saying anything at all. He'll wonder, where is she? Who is she with? Why does she look so happy? This subtle approach is particularly effective because it shows rather than tells. Men are naturally visual creatures, and when they see you living your life without needing to broadcast every detail, it creates a sense of depth and independence that's hard to resist. It's the modern-day application of Stoicism, choosing to reveal only what adds value to your image and keeping the rest for yourself. And let's not forget the power of silence. Sometimes the most serious thing you can do is say nothing at all. If he asks a question that doesn't need an immediate response, let it linger. Give him the chance to overthink, to wonder why you're not jumping to reply. That silence is often louder than words, creating an emotional impact that keeps him engaged. Think about how this plays into the bigger picture. By being mysterious, you're not only keeping him intrigued in the moment, you're building a long-term dynamic of respect and fascination. He'll come to see you as someone who values her privacy, someone who doesn't need to seek constant validation. That perception will make him miss you even more when you're not around. In the end, mystery is one of the most powerful tools you can use to make him miss you. It's not about being distant or cold. It's about maintaining an air of intrigue that keeps him invested. Every unanswered question, every subtle hint, every moment of silence adds to the narrative he's creating about you in his mind. And as that narrative grows, so does his desire to be a part of your story. When you master this art of being vague, you're not just making him miss you, you're making him want to miss you. You're giving him a reason to chase you, to work for your attention, and to value the moments you choose to share with him. It's a delicate dance, but one that's rooted in confidence, discipline, and a deep understanding of human psychology. Let him wonder, let him imagine, let him miss you. And when the time comes, he'll see you not just as someone he wants to be with, but as someone he can't stop thinking about. Fourth, don't give in to his attention bait. Have you ever noticed how subtle men can be when they're fishing for attention? Maybe it's a casual text that seems harmless on the surface. "Hey, just saw something that reminded me of you." Or perhaps it's a cryptic social media post, a picture of him out with friends, clearly meant to make you wonder what he's up to. These are what I call attention bait, and if you want to make him miss you, the key is simple: don't bite. Why? Because when you resist, you shift the power dynamic. Men, whether they admit it or not, love feeling in control of the interaction. When you're quick to respond or react to their subtle cues, you're giving them exactly what they want: validation. But when you hold back, when you show that you're not so easily swayed, you become the one holding the cards. That's when the game changes. Let's dive into why this works. Human nature thrives on unpredictability. If you're always available, always ready to respond, you become predictable. And predictability, as comforting as it is, doesn't create desire. On the other hand, when you choose not to react, it introduces an element of uncertainty. He starts to wonder, why isn't she responding? Is she losing interest? Is there someone else? And this isn't just about withholding validation, it's about showing restraint, a key principle of Stoicism. The ancient Stoics believed in controlling their impulses, refusing to let external circumstances dictate their emotions or actions. By practicing this level of control, you're not just playing hard to get, you're demonstrating that you value your energy and time too much to waste it on his games. Picture this. He posts a photo on Instagram, clearly designed to get a reaction from you. Maybe it's a shot of him at a bar with friends, looking confident and carefree. He's counting on you to slide into his DMs with a comment or a like, but instead, you do nothing. Silence, no reaction. Now he's left questioning himself. Did she see it? Why didn't she respond? The beauty of this approach lies in the mental spiral it triggers. By not engaging, you're planting a seed of doubt in his mind, and that doubt grows. The longer you maintain your emotional discipline, the more powerful this effect becomes. Even if he wasn't thinking about you before, your lack of response forces him to confront your absence. Suddenly, you're the one occupying his thoughts. But let's be clear, this isn't about playing games or trying to manipulate him. It's about showing that you won't be easily swayed by surface-level attempts to grab your attention. It's about choosing your reactions intentionally rather than impulsively. When you master this skill, you're not just making him miss you. You're teaching him to respect your boundaries and your value. Now, resisting attention bait isn't always easy. It requires a level of confidence and self-control that takes practice. You might feel the urge to respond, especially if his message or post seems designed to provoke an emotional reaction. But before you do, ask yourself, what's my goal here? Do I really want to engage, or am I just seeking his approval? When you resist, you're sending a powerful message. I don't need your validation to feel good about myself. And trust me, that message will resonate far more deeply than any text you could send. Men are naturally drawn to women who exude confidence and self-assurance. When you show him that you're not dependent on his attention, you become infinitely more attractive. There's another layer to this too. When you don't give in to his attention bait, you're creating a sense of scarcity. He starts to realize that your time and energy aren't guaranteed, that there's something he has to earn. This scarcity makes your attention more valuable, more desirable. It's the classic principle of supply and demand. What's rare is cherished. Think of it like this. If you respond to every text or engage with every post, your attention becomes a commodity, something he can count on without effort. But when you hold back, when you choose not to react, your attention transforms into a luxury, and luxury is always coveted. This approach also shifts the focus back to him. Instead of you chasing his approval, he's now the one trying to figure out how to win yours. He'll start putting more thought into his interactions with you, trying to gauge what it takes to capture your interest. And in doing so, he becomes more emotionally invested. Remember, dark Stoic psychology isn't about manipulation. It's about mastering your own emotions and creating space for him to miss you authentically. By resisting his attention bait, you're not just preserving your own emotional energy, you're also creating a dynamic where he values your presence more deeply. So the next time he sends a casual "hey" or posts something designed to catch your eye, take a breath. Remind yourself of your worth and choose not to react. Instead, let the silence speak for itself. Let him wonder, overthink, and miss you in ways he never expected. In the end, this isn't about withholding for the sake of power. It's about honoring your own value. And when you do that, he'll see you as someone worth missing, worth chasing, and ultimately, worth keeping. 5. Create healthy jealousy. Let's talk about one of the most primal emotions that, when used wisely, can make a man think about you non-stop. Jealousy. Yes, you heard that right. Jealousy. When done in a healthy and respectful way, it isn't about manipulation or mind games. It's about showing him that you're a high-value woman with a life full of people and experiences that don't revolve around him. Think about this. Humans are wired to crave what they believe might slip away. When a man feels like he's at risk of losing your attention to someone or something else, it sparks a sense of urgency. Suddenly, he sees you in a new light, not as someone he can take for granted, but as someone he needs to work to keep in his life. Here's the key. Healthy jealousy is not about being petty or trying to make him feel insecure. It's about creating an environment where he recognizes that you're valued by others. When he sees that other people, friends, colleagues, or even potential romantic interests, enjoy being around you, it triggers a competitive instinct. He starts to think, if they see her value, why haven't I appreciated it enough? So how do you create this dynamic without crossing any lines? It starts with living your life authentically. Go out with friends, try new activities, and share your happiness in subtle, tasteful ways. A candid photo with friends at dinner, or a mention of a new hobby in passing can work wonders. It's not about flaunting or boasting. It's about naturally showcasing that your world is full and vibrant with or without him. Let me share a scenario. Imagine you're at a social gathering, and he knows you're there. Instead of texting him updates or trying to make him jealous deliberately, you simply let him wonder. Maybe you post a single intriguing photo, a snapshot of the event, not overly posed, just enough to show that you're enjoying yourself. That small glimpse into your life will ignite his curiosity. Who's she with? What's making her smile like that? The beauty of this approach is that it doesn't feel forced. It's rooted in confidence and authenticity. You're not trying to provoke him. You're simply showing that your life is rich and full, which naturally piques his interest. This is the essence of dark Stoic psychology, using your independence and emotional strength to draw him in, rather than chasing after his attention. Here's an important point to remember. Subtlety is key. If you overdo it, posting too much or intentionally trying to make him jealous, it can backfire. He might see it as desperate or insincere. But when you keep it understated, it taps into his mind without you having to say a word. Now let's talk about the psychological impact of healthy jealousy. When he realizes that you're not sitting around waiting for his attention, it creates a sense of scarcity. Men value what feels rare, what they can't easily have. When he sees that you're surrounded by people who admire and enjoy your company, it sparks a competitive instinct. He wants to be the one who stands out, the one who has your attention above all others. And this doesn't just apply to romantic jealousy. Seeing you valued by your friends, your coworkers, or even your family can have a similar effect. It reinforces the idea that you're someone worth cherishing. It's not about creating insecurity. It's about reminding him that you're a woman with a full, meaningful life. Think of it this way. You're not trying to make him jealous of another person. You're inviting him to appreciate what he could lose if he doesn't step up. This subtle shift in perspective can be transformative. Suddenly, he's not just thinking about you. He's thinking about how to keep you in his life. So how does this all tie together? By living your life authentically and creating those moments of intrigue, you make yourself unforgettable. You show him that you're a woman who doesn't settle, who doesn't need constant validation, because you're already fulfilled. And that's the kind of woman men miss deeply. What do you think about the idea of creating healthy jealousy? Have you ever noticed how showing your independence changes the way people perceive you? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. If this resonated with you, make sure to like this video to let me know. And don't forget to subscribe so you can catch the next step in this powerful journey. We're diving even deeper into the art of attraction and stoicism, and trust me, you won't want to miss what's next. Thank you for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the comments. 6. Use a special nickname. What's in a name? More than you might think. A simple nickname, one that's unique to the two of you, can be one of the most powerful tools to make a man miss you deeply. Why? Because it taps into something incredibly personal, creating a connection that lingers long after you've stopped saying it. Think about it. A nickname isn't just a word. It's a symbol of intimacy, of a bond that only the two of you share. When you give him a special nickname, you're marking a space in his life that no one else can fill. It becomes your private language, a quiet reminder of the connection you've built together. Here's the beauty of it. Once you've established this little ritual, the absence of it speaks volumes. When you step back, when you stop using the nickname for a time, he will notice. He'll hear the void in your words, feel the distance in your silence, and miss that piece of your relationship that was uniquely yours. But let's break this down step by step. First, the nickname itself. It doesn't have to be extravagant or overly sentimental. In fact, the best nicknames are often playful, lighthearted, or tied to an inside joke. Maybe it's a twist on his name, a reference to something he's passionate about, or a callback to a moment you shared. The key is that it feels organic and personal, something that wouldn't make sense coming from anyone else. For example, if he's always talking about his love for coffee, you might call him Cappuccino King. If he has a favorite sports team, maybe it's Coach or VP. These little touches create a sense of familiarity and warmth, and every time he hears that nickname, it reinforces the bond you've built. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Once the nickname becomes part of your dynamic, you can use its absence to create longing. Imagine this. You've always called him Captain because he loves sailing. Then one day, you don't. You switch to using his full name or keep things more formal. He'll notice immediately. He might not say it out loud, but he'll wonder, why isn't she calling me Captain anymore? Did something change? This subtle shift creates a ripple effect in his mind. He starts thinking about you more, analyzing the change, and wondering what it means. That nickname, once a symbol of your connection, becomes a reminder of what he's missing. And the more he thinks about it, the more he misses you. Here's the thing about nicknames. They're not just about him. They're about how they make you feel too. When you use a nickname, it's a way of softening the interaction, of adding a layer of affection that words alone can't capture. But when you withdraw it, when you reserve that affection, it's a subtle act of emotional discipline, a principle rooted in Stoicism. You're choosing when and how to express that closeness, rather than giving it away freely. This is what makes dark Stoic psychology so powerful. It's not about manipulation, it's about understanding the weight of your actions and using them intentionally. By controlling when and how you use the nickname, you're creating a dynamic where he values it more deeply. And when he values it, he values you. But there's another layer to this. A nickname isn't just about what you say, it's about the memories and emotions it evokes. Every time he hears that word, it takes him back to the moments you shared. The laughter, the inside jokes, the feeling of being seen and understood. When that word is no longer there, he doesn't just miss the nickname, he misses you, the person who made him feel special enough to deserve it. Let's consider the long-term impact. Even if he tries to move on, that nickname stays with him. It's a mental bookmark, a piece of you that lingers in his mind. Maybe someone else tries to call him by a similar name, but it won't feel the same. It won't carry the same weight because it's not coming from you. And in that moment, he'll realize just how unique your connection was. Using the nickname is a small gesture, but its impact can be profound. It's not about overwhelming him with grand declarations of affection. It's about the subtle ways you make him feel seen, valued, and connected to you. And when you pair that with the restraint to pull back when needed, you create a dynamic that keeps him longing for more. So what nickname will you choose? Whatever it is, make it yours. Let it be a reflection of the bond you're building, a reminder of the moments only the two of you share. And when the time comes to step back, trust that its absence will speak louder than any words ever could. That's the power of a nickname, a small word with the ability to make him miss you in ways he never expected. 7. Teach him something new. There's something undeniably magnetic about a woman who inspires growth. Imagine this. You're not just someone he spends time with. You're someone who opens his mind to new perspectives, skills, or ideas he never considered before. You're not just his romantic interest. You become a mentor, a muse, and a source of inspiration, all wrapped into one. When you teach him something new, you create a connection that's not just emotional, but intellectual. And that kind of bond is unforgettable. Men, whether they admit it or not, crave experiences that challenge them. They admire women who can expand their horizons, who make them think, who leave them better than they were before. Here's the secret. Every time he uses the skill or remembers the idea you introduced him to, he'll think of you, even if you're not around. Even if you haven't spoken in days, your influence will linger. So how do you teach him something new? It doesn't have to be groundbreaking. It could be as simple as showing him a new way to make his morning coffee, or as profound as introducing him to a philosophy like Stoicism. Maybe you share a book that changed your perspective, or teach him a trick for staying calm under pressure. The key is to offer something meaningful that aligns with his interests or challenges his current way of thinking. Let's break it down. Imagine he's the kind of guy who gets overwhelmed at work. You casually mention how Stoicism teaches the art of staying composed in stressful situations. You share a quote from Marcus Aurelius: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." It's simple, yet it plants a seed. Later, when he faces a tough moment, he remembers your words. And in that moment, he's not just thinking about Stoicism, he's thinking about you. This works because teaching someone something new isn't just about the knowledge, it's about the experience of learning it from you. The act of discovery becomes tied to you emotionally. It creates a moment of connection, a shared memory that's both valuable and intimate. And the best part? It shows him that you bring more to the table than just romance. You bring growth, wisdom, and depth. Here's another example. Let's say he's always wanted to cook but never really tried. You offer to teach him a simple recipe. The two of you spend an evening in the kitchen, laughing over spilled flour and sharing tips. The meal turns out great, or maybe it doesn't. But it doesn't matter. What matters is that he'll always associate that dish with you. Every time he makes it in the future, he'll think of that night and the way you made him feel. But here's where the real magic happens. After you've taught him something, you pull back. You don't hover, checking in to see if he's using what you showed him. You let him take it and make it his own. This is where dark Stoic psychology comes into play. The Stoics believed in self-reliance and the power of personal growth. By stepping back, you're embodying this principle, showing him that you trust him to grow on his own. This creates a sense of respect and admiration. You're not trying to control him or impress him. You're simply offering him something valuable and then giving him the space to appreciate it. And here's the thing. When you do this, he'll start to see you as irreplaceable. Because while others might offer him fleeting attention, you're giving him something that lasts, something that changes him. Think about the ripple effect this creates. Even if he tries to move on, even if life takes you in different directions, that lesson, that experience, stays with him. It's a part of his story now, a part of who he's becoming. And every time he remembers it, he remembers you. He misses you. This is the power of teaching him something new. It's not about showing off or trying to prove your worth. It's about genuinely adding value to his life. And when you approach it from this place of authenticity, the impact is profound. He won't just miss you because of the time you spent together. He'll miss you because of the way you made him feel, capable, inspired, and seen. Have you ever taught someone something new and watched how it strengthened your connection? What skill, book, or idea would you want to share with someone you care about? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to know how you've made an impact in someone's life. If this concept resonates with you, make sure to like this video to let me know I'm on the right track. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next step in this series. There's more to come, and each piece of this journey is designed to help you create meaningful, lasting connections rooted in authenticity and growth. Thank you for being here. Let's keep building something extraordinary together. 8. Don't be eager, be vague. Here's why this works. When you hold back, you create a sense of scarcity around your time and attention. Scarcity, as any psychologist will tell you, increases perceived value. By not being overly eager or forthcoming, you're subtly signaling that your time is precious and that you're selective about who gets access to you. This isn't about playing games. It's about showing him that you're confident, self-assured, and in control of your life. Dark Stoic psychology teaches us the importance of restraint and composure. The Stoics believed in governing one's impulses and not letting emotions dictate actions. By embracing this philosophy, you're not reacting out of a need to please or impress him. Instead, you're responding with purpose, choosing your words carefully to maintain your allure. Being vague also allows you to maintain the upper hand in the conversation. When he's the one asking questions, trying to peel back the layers of your day, he's the one chasing. And let's face it, men love the thrill of pursuit. By giving him just enough to keep him intrigued, you're fueling that desire to learn more, to be closer to you. But let's make something clear. Being vague doesn't mean being distant or dismissive. It's a delicate balance. You want to be engaging, warm, and approachable, while still maintaining an air of mystery. For example, if he asks about your weekend, you might say, "It was nice. Caught up with some friends and had a little adventure. How about you?" Notice how this response is positive and inviting, but doesn't give away too much. It's just enough to make him want to know more. Here's another layer to consider: timing. If you respond to his messages instantly every time, you lose some of that allure. But if you take a moment to let the message sit before replying, it adds to the suspense. He'll start to wonder, what's she doing? Why isn't she replying right away? This isn't about ignoring him. It's about showing that you're not glued to your phone, that your life is full and fulfilling. Now, let's think about the long-term impact of this approach. By consistently being vague and maintaining a bit of mystery, you're creating a dynamic where he always feels a little off balance, in the best way. He'll find himself drawn to you, eager to uncover more about you, to be part of the life you've so carefully crafted. Because you're not giving everything away, he'll always feel like there's more to discover. This kind of intrigue doesn't just make him miss you, it makes him see you as someone special, someone different from the rest. Most people are eager to please, quick to share every detail, desperate to connect. But you're calm, composed, and captivating. You're the woman who knows her worth and doesn't feel the need to prove it. In the end, being vague isn't about withholding. It's about creating space for desire. It's about letting him lean in, ask questions, and invest in getting to know you. And as he does, he'll realize that he doesn't just want to know what you're up to. He wants to be part of it. That's the power of this approach. It doesn't just make him miss you. It makes him work to keep you close. And that's a feeling he won't easily forget. You've now seen the 8 steps that can make any man miss you so deeply, even if he wasn't particularly interested at first. These aren't about playing games or being manipulative. They're about embodying your worth, mastering emotional discipline, and showing him that you're someone who adds extraordinary value to his life. These steps are rooted in timeless human psychology, enhanced by principles of Stoicism and dark Stoic psychology. Together, they create a dynamic where you're not just another person in his life. You're the one who stands out, the one he misses, the one he can't stop thinking about. But here's the real beauty. These steps aren't just about him. They're about you. They're about reclaiming your power, embracing your independence, and showing the world, and yourself, that you are a woman of incredible value. When you embody these principles, you don't just attract the right kind of attention. You transform your own mindset and step into the highest version of yourself. So as you move forward, remember this. The key to being unforgettable isn't about trying to prove your worth. It's about living your truth with confidence and grace. When you do that, the right man won't just miss you. He'll realize he can't imagine his life without you. Now it's your turn. Which of these steps resonates with you the most? Is there one you're excited to try? Or maybe you have a story of your own about how you've made someone miss you in the past. Share your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. And if this guide spoke to you, pass it along to someone who might need it. Together, let's keep building relationships that are meaningful, authentic, and unforgettable. Thank you for reading, and here's to creating a life and love that's truly extraordinary.